Hello, and welcome back to How to Grow My Small Business. I have a special guest on today. Her name is Brittni Schroeder, and Brittni is a business coach and marketing strategist. She helps entrepreneurs automate, build sales funnels, and scale their businesses. Brittni worked as a high school senior photographer for over 10 years, and she also owned and operated Mozi Magazine up until 2017. Her work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Good Morning America, and several other publications. She has worked in the nonprofit sector for over 15 years and recently founded her own nonprofit called the Compassion Club. And she currently lives in Lehi, Utah. Brittni is someone that I have followed for a lot of years. You probably don't know this about me, but I owned and operated a very, very, very small photography business when my oldest boys were little. So I'm talking like 12, 13, 15 years ago-ish. And I've followed Brittni ever since then. She's super smart, and she's going to teach us a lot about automation in this episode. So let's dive in. Okay, so I have been a fangirl of yours for a very long time. I'm a real big weirdo, and I read the fine print at the bottom of people's emails because I'm always curious as to what the unsubscribe thing says after I noticed someone else's. Anyway, I noticed that I think you have a PO box here in Spring, Texas, where I live.
Yeah.
Which is funny. I know you moved back to Utah, but anyway, I thought that was interesting.
I
I was
didn't
like,
know
oh my
that you were in
gosh.
spring though.
I'm in the Woodlands.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
I know, too bad. I'm always like
I
excited to
know.
like,
Bummer.
oh, I want to meet in person, but you're in
I
Texas.
know.
So
Well, when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, she's right here. We could meet in person. And then then I realized you had moved back to Utah. So
yes, I
how
am in
long
Utah.
have you how long have you been back in Utah?
So I moved back 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I grew
Okay.
up in Utah. I was gone for 20 years,
Oh my
Michigan,
goodness.
Texas, and then moved back a couple of years ago.
Very
So
good. Very
yeah.
good. Okay, so today I have a really exciting special guest, Brittni Schroeder, on. She's a business coach and marketing strategist, and she helps entrepreneurs automate, build sales funnels, and scale their businesses. And I have listened to her podcast and followed her for years. So I'm very super excited to have Brittni on here. She has worked as a high school senior photographer for over 10 years. She also owned and operated, how do you say the magazine name?
Mozi
Mozi.
Magazine.
Mozi
Yeah.
Magazine up until 2017. And she's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Good Morning America, and several other publications. And she has worked in the nonprofit sector for over 15 years and recently founded her own nonprofit called the Compassion Club. She currently lives in Lehi, Utah, but she just moved away a couple of years ago from where I live now in Spring, Texas. So that's a
Yeah. Yeah.
cool little thing. So, Brittni, if you would, I know I just gave you kind of your bio introduction, but if you would introduce yourself, tell us all about
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and we'll get into it.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I've been an entrepreneur my whole entire life, but a lot of my adult life. So I started with photography, and you hear a lot of entrepreneurs that started as some sort of creative, but
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
I started as a high school senior photographer, and I built like a really solid brand. I was in El Paso, Texas, of all places at the time,
Yeah.
and I built this like really incredible brand. And I just learned as I went. And I always say that like as a creative, like the business part came more natural to me. The creative side
Mm-hmm.
I had to work a little bit more at.
Yeah.
And I always was systems and super organized. I mean, it was like a fine oiled machine, and I did really well. I made six figures, and and it was great, and I loved it, and I felt like it was like my calling in life. I was working with
Mm-hmm.
teenagers, and I did all those things. And during that time I also started a photography magazine with a colleague of mine, and it opened up so many doors. Like, I mean, I've talked about this on my own podcast before about networking. And
Yeah.
you know like the magazine it was a networking tool for me, and it opened a lot of opportunities, a lot of doors. And it was just really great. And then after a while we decided to sell it because we couldn't keep up with it with our own business.
Sure. Sure.
But and then in about 2018 I moved from El Paso to Houston.
Yep.
And during that time, I had started my nonprofit and I got certified as a life coach. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, but I was like, I think it's time for me to pivot. I didn't want to start another location-based business. I wanted to do something where I could live anywhere. And when I was getting certified as a life coach, I was in this cohort with other life coaches, and they knew nothing about business. And I just found my personality. I was like, you know what? I love this stuff. I love helping people set up these businesses that, are organized, and, building email lists and building social media. And so it just kind of happened that I didn't know where I was going to go. And it ended up like business and marketing, and helping these businesses get established and build, build businesses. So that's kind of where I landed. And then a couple of years ago, I got divorced, wah, 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 and decided to move home and be closer to family. So I moved here, and I have a son who is in Brazil on a mission for my church. And he will be home in February. And
Very
then I have
good.
a 16-year-old daughter that is going to be a junior in high school. So
Very
that's
good.
a nutshell.
Very
So
good. Very good.
yeah,
Well, I follow you for all things automation for real. I mean, like that is you are my go-to. I'm like, okay, I need an automation for this. What is Brittany
yeah,
doing? So
yeah.
walk us through, let's say a new business owner.
Uh-huh.
What types of automation should they be considering or
Yeah.
even looking into or figuring out?
Yeah. And the thing is with automation that people kind of dismiss is, when we're starting as entrepreneurs, it's like we have this like really great idea, and we're making money. And so people don't think to invest in like, hey, how do I get my business set up? But one of my favorite things that I say to my clients all the time is minutes add up to hours. And
Hmm.
you and as you're growing your business and you're wearing all these hats, that's why people get burnt out, is because
Yes.
they are doing everything. They're sending a million emails, they're chasing money, invoices,
Yep.
like trying to schedule things, it's just too much. And so it really is like time is money. And we get to the
Hmm.
point where it's really like invaluable is gosh, we need more hours in the day, but these things are super important. And it's also like processes of scaling. Like you have
Hmm.
to have these automations in your business scale. So everybody's business is a little bit different, but these are some of the main things that I set up. Like, first of all, if someone hires me, is I often say that small businesses fail for two reasons. Either they don't grow fast enough, or they grow too fast and they lose their integrity. And there's nothing more frustrating than giving somebody your money and then feeling like they ghost you. And there's no communication, like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? So one of the very first automations that I like to set up with my clients is that onboarding. So you get a client, and then what? And so that is an automation that I set up. So for me, I'll kind of just walk you through like my workflow
Sure, I'd
is
love that.
I get on a consult with somebody, and they want to work with me. And I say, okay, I'm going to send you my welcome packet. I send them a welcome packet that just kind of talks about what it looks like working with me. And it's like, hey, if you're ready to go, click here to pay. They
Hmm.
pay that invoice, and they have the option of choosing to pay in full or pay a payment plan. Then I've automated it. So once the payment's done, then it triggers an email sequence. And the first
Hmm.
email that they get is welcome, to working with me. And then fill out this intake form. And so they will fill out the intake form. Then I have another automation or integration where all their information from that intake form, it goes into a database for me. And I can set up an automation where then it sends me an email that says, send them a welcome gift, or
Hmm.
so it sends them that. And then they get then it's an email sequence that they get where it says, okay, this is how you get a hold of me. Like, you can find me on Marco Polo, or you can find me on Boxer. Here's my username, so you can find me. This is how you schedule your appointments. And I'm kind of just walking them through with this email sequence. Then I have it, because a lot of times I work with people for about 3 months to begin with.
Hmm.
And then I've set it up so then they're, with that time, then maybe like 2 weeks later, they get another email. And 2 weeks later, they might get another email. And then at the end, so this is my onboarding, but this is also my offboarding email sequence where then it says, hey, do you want to sign on? I'm upselling them or downselling them. Do you want to do another 3 months? And then at the very end, I'll say, thank you. Will you leave me a review? So I've just like automated this sequence. And so I feel like that the onboarding process and working with clients is so important. I often tell the story of when I was in Houston and we got a pool and it was during COVID. And we had all these guys come in and selling us, hey, use our company. And we gave them their money. And then it was like, there was no communication.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, are you going to come? Whatever. And then I remember that, there was no email marketing. And granted, it was a crazy time. It was COVID.
Yes.
Lots of people getting pulled, so I gave him grace. But then we hadn't even made the final payment on our pool. And Texas, if you are from Texas, we get a freeze once a year, once every other year. And it flips Texas upside down. They don't know what to do. But we had gotten a freeze. I hadn't even paid that final payment. And it was like $10,000. And we get a freeze and my pool breaks. And I haven't even paid for it yet. And I know that it wasn't the pool guy's fault.
Sure.
But he could have prevented it if he would have, hey, listen, had an email and, hey, this is how you wrap up your pipes so they don't freeze and burst and stuff like that. And so, it's just those little things that we do that we can educate our clients and we can give this top-notch service to them where there's constant communication. And so that's probably one of the very first automations that I recommend people setting up is your clients. Like your clients are your word of mouth marketing is going to be one of your most powerful tools. And if they feel like they did not get that experience, that client experience, they're not going to refer you.
Right. I love that. And I also love the thing I love about automations. I personally have a really hard time with automations in my brain because I want to be the person touching every single client every single time without it feeling disingenuous robotic. But I do think that the great thing about automations is that it allows you to still be in contact with the customer and give them an opportunity to reply back to you or to think about you again, right? Like, hey, that service has been going great. Everything's fine. Let's keep going. Or, hey, actually, I'm having an issue with this or that. But it allows you to scale and it allows you to not be in it 24/7.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, especially with my one-on-one clients, we have in our businesses, we have high price, high touch, offers and low touch, low price. And so like my high touch clients, my more expensive ones, I am talking to them all the time, but guess what? Sometimes life happens and you get distracted or something comes up and you can't communicate. And so it's kind of that safety net too, that it's like letting you be in touch and communicate without you being in touch and communicating.
Right.
And I think too, I'm thinking of different clients of mine, like I've worked with real estate agents, I worked with photographers, there's all these questions that people have, and it's like getting ahead of those questions too.
Yeah.
So like photographers, this automated onboarding series can look like, hey, what to wear, what kind of location do you want, how to prepare for a photo shoot. Yes, you want to be talking to them in between, but it kind of just helps you like stay ahead of it. And so you're saving time,
Well, and when you're repeatedly having the same conversation, that's an indicator that you should automate it.
100%. And that's what I say. What are the things you're doing over and over in your business, or what's sucking your time? Can you automate that? And the thing is there are so many automations and AI, people just don't realize like, hey, you're using programs that have these automations. You just don't realize that you have them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had another client I recently had. Here's another automation that I really love for me is like scheduling apps and where you can schedule appointments. So I had a client, she's a health coach and she was doing personal training, nutritional training, everything. And she was spending her days texting and emailing back and forth What does your calendar look like? Here's an availability. Do you have this? Do you have that? And she just, it was so overwhelming to her. And so, she was wasting her days, like, like trying to figure out a time. And then it was like, then they would no show, or they didn't show up late. And I'm like, okay, that was the very first thing I said, is we are going to implement like the scheduling app. I use Acuity. There's
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple. And and we set up, there's these automations where you can send out like customized emails
And
with
reminders.
and reminders. Yes.
And
Like,
hey, if you need to
yeah,
cancel, do it now.
yeah, 100%. Well, and I have mine set up, like I have reminders set up that goes to them, my clients, and one that goes to me too. So
Yes.
it says, hey, we have your call is in, tomorrow in 24 hours. And then I send one an hour before. And I rarely get no shows or anything, because they're getting these reminders.
Right.
And so we have to think of like, what are the things in our business that is like, that is costing us time, because it's costing us money. And those are like really, really important. So
I love what you just said about if it's something that you're doing over and over, then it's obviously costing you time, which is costing you money. But
yeah.
I also like, it reminded me of something that I say all the time is when we are thinking about our clients and our business, this is our business and our clients, and we think about them all the time.
Mhm.
We are just fixing one little problem in their world. They have all these problems in all these different areas of their lives, and we're fixing one of them. So they're not thinking about us as much as we're thinking about them. That's why we need these automations in place. That's why we need these appointment reminders and, hey, if you need to cancel reminders and all of that, because they're not thinking about us as much as we're thinking about them. This is our livelihood. This is
Yeah.
how we put food on the table and pay our bills and hopefully have some extra, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we think about them all the time, but they're not thinking about us as much as we're thinking about them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, we're constantly thinking about them, but we want to make sure that they feel like it's really all about the client experience
Hmm.
and knowing what is going on.
Right.
I mean, how many times have we like invested in something and then it's like, okay, I like they didn't even care about me. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
We have to do these things. We have to have these automations, and it frees up time. Another automation that you can do is like, I have a virtual assistant and I use her minimal, and it's automations and systems, but
Hmm.
I have SOP, standard operating procedures. So she knows every day what her tasks are going to be. And she knows, and it takes her no time, but we've created these systems where we rarely even have to communicate.
Hmm.
I've set up, like, here's another automation that I've set up is I use a program called Airtable. It's free. It's like a database. And I will put in there that I put a blog, like, hey, I've written this blog, or this podcast is ready. I change the status in the database that it's ready to schedule. It sends her an email and tells her, hey, this is ready to schedule.
Yeah.
And then she blasts it out. We can repurpose that content. But so there's really like, I mean, there are so many systems and automations that just make life easy,
Hmm.
and it saves us money when, I've had clients before where they are using their VA for like 20 hours a week, and they're paying all this, and I'm like, no, like a lot of the stuff you can automate,
Yes.
they shouldn't have to be tracking down like bios or headshots or, following up with stuff. We can set up emails and automations that will do this for you. And so I think it's really just like learning, what you already have, you can use to automate and make your life and your business easier. So
I love that. I love that. I'm all about making things easier. So we're not working 24/7 and we're not burning out.
yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, so you work on funnels a lot. Can you talk to us a little bit about funnels?
Yes. Okay. So basically, funnels are your marketing, and it's going to
Hmm.
be your sales team. And we want to grow our email list. And I'm constantly talking about email marketing and email list. Social media is so unpredictable. And if you are a business owner, you have really felt that shift the last few years that, hey, my stuff I used to reach the masses, and now I'm not reaching anybody. Like, what's
Uh-huh.
going on here,
Yeah.
So we have to email list. You own your email list. So
Mm-hmm.
it's never going to go away. If you need to get a hold of people, you can email them, right?
Right.
And so building these funnels, and there's lots of different types of funnels you can do, but that is how you grow your email list, by creating these sales funnels.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple different things you can do. You can, lead magnets or your freebies
Yep.
are a resource, or something that you can give in exchange for somebody's email. And then this is where the magic happens, is they give you their email. Then you're in this automated funnel where you are introducing yourself, you're positioning yourself as an expert, and then
Mm-hmm.
eventually you want to sell to them. Now, sales funnels, they work, but sometimes they just take a little bit longer. So it depends on the product or service that you're selling. It could take a little bit longer. It could take a lot of emails to convert people to whatever you're trying to sell. But this is how you grow your email list, is by creating these different funnels and putting them out there, putting them, on your blog, on your website, Pinterest, anywhere that there's a search engine, you want to put
Mm-hmm.
funnels out there.
Okay,
So
and I want to quickly make a point, because a lot of my listeners are local business owners, meaning they're not, they're serving their local communities. They're not necessarily like an online coach, or an online type of business where people from across the nation or the
yeah.
world are
Yeah.
getting their services.
Mhm.
Even for businesses like electricians and HVAC companies and pool service companies, you can build an email list, and
Mhm.
you can have lead magnets that draw people in, that you can then nurture as leads,
Mhm.
and that you can convert them into paying customers locally
Yes.
with sales funnels, with emails. So,
Yes.
just to clarify for our listeners, what goes into a sales funnel? Like, I use them in my consulting and coaching business.
Mhm.
Um, we also use them in our local service-based business.
Mhm.
Um, can you kind of explain, like, what is it actually that they're doing?
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
going to a website, they're putting their email in, and then what?
Yeah. And let's talk about, I'm going to talk about location based, since
Yep. Yeah.
because I think people just think that lead magnets and funnels are specifically for online businesses, but
Yes. Yes.
they are for local businesses. They
Yes.
are for brick and mortar. So let's go with, like, my pool guy, for
Yeah.
example. Okay. So I go to his website, I Google pool guy, I go to his, and maybe his thing that pops up is a free consultation, right?
Sure.
So it pops up, I say free consultation, I put in my email address, blah, blah, blah. The a sales funnel, or the funnel that it should look like, it should be about the first one is always whatever, the freebie, the delivery of the
Mhm.
free.
Yep.
So if it's a consult, it's here's the link to schedule, or this is how you schedule, right? The second email is typically your about me. Who are you?
Hmm.
And it depends on how big the business is. A lot of
Sure.
times they're smaller businesses, but you should include a picture of yourself, because we want to connect all of the senses. Like, we want the visual connection too.
Hmm.
And I want to remember who they are, because how many times have we signed up for an email?
And you're like,
We
who
sign
the
up for something
heck?
and we get an email like, who is this person? I have no idea.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important, especially the beginning phases, to include a picture of who you are, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur.
Hmm.
Say you're not, and there's several of you, but like, even some sort of visual picture of you, of your team, whatever it may be. So I do that. And I also I have a lot of headers on my emails that have a picture of me, for that very reason, of just like that visual, like, connection.
Hmm.
So it's about me, and you want to connect with people. So if I see somebody, and say the pool guy, he sends me an email, maybe it's a picture of his family, and I'm like, oh, wow, he has a teenage daughter too, or wow, he has a Labradoodle too, or something like that, where there's like a connection, right?
Hmm.
And I know who it is, because I connect those things.
Well, and you're more memorable that way.
Yes, you're more memorable. And that's what marketing is becoming memorable, right? I
Yes.
remember them. So then the next series of emails should be where you position yourself as an expert. Why should they use you, and how
Hmm.
can you help them? So my pool guy, one of the selling points when he came to my house was that his family's been doing this forever. And it was during COVID, and he's like, we've been doing this for 20, 30 years. I have all the connections with the suppliers. So you're going to get your pool faster than other people, right?
Yeah.
So, so those are the ways where he's like, where he kind of sold me, where, okay, he has connections. I'm not going to have to wait. But those are things you can include in your emails, right?
Yes.
How, maybe some testimonials. So then another email can be testimonials. Another can be kind of the process, whatever it may be. But then the next step after you've gone through that funnel is, like maybe call to action, like, hey, get started or whatever. Now, you don't always sell on the sales funnels,
Yeah.
but then you add them to your main list, and then you're going to email them on a regular basis. I send out an email every week, every Tuesday, and I'm still nurturing them. So when say that I don't need a pool now, but say when I do, I want to remember this pool guy because he's showing up in my inbox. I'm telling you right now, I cannot remember the name of the company who put in my pool, and they did do a really good job. I can't remember him. So
Right.
now if somebody from Houston is like, who did your pool? I do not
No
know.
idea.
I have no idea who did my pool.
Let me go hunt up that paper
Yes,
invoice that they probably used,
yes,
right? Like,
yes. So if he was showing up in my inbox, I would remember because I'm seeing him,
yeah.
And so that's how it works is somebody might not need your product or service now, but when they do, you want to be top of their mind. And that's why sales funnels are so important. And that's why you want to continue to nurture them.
Yeah, and even if someone has contacted your business, you can also use kind of you can use a closed lost sequence as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
in our local service-based business, we have an automation that goes out. If someone doesn't choose to sign on with us, we send them an email about 12 weeks out and say, "Hey, just wanted to make sure that you're happy with you didn't go with us. We want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure you're happy with your current service. If you are, great. We're so happy for you. If not, we're still here.
Yeah, yeah,
We're still ready to take you on." So,
yeah,
you can use those automations and email sequences, and even if you didn't win the sale, if you got the opportunity to sell, you didn't win it, you can still use it on the back end as well.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I think we're inundated with so much information all the time.
Hmm.
And so that is definitely like a mindset too, where people are like, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to keep bugging them. But it's not. It's a reminder. I don't read every email that I get. I
Oh,
delete them sometimes, but I remember people, and we have to remember that it used to be like if you have to have 7 contacts before someone
yes.
purchases for you. Now they say it's like 30 or 40 because
It's insane.
yeah, because we just are inundated. We just have so much information thrown at us all the time.
Well, and I'm sure that I don't know. I'm sure we have, people listening out there that are just like me, and I sign up for every email audit thing that like comes my way,
Yeah.
and so I get billions of emails and I read a very, very small fraction of them. But if something catches my eye, I will open it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Same. And so, and it's just becoming memorable and offering value.
Yes.
So I've worked with, here's another location-based real estate agents.
Hmm.
So we came up with this marketing strategy for these real estate agents. And it was, hey, we, like create value. And the thing that we came up with is what's going on around town,
Right.
as when I was a mom of young kids, I was always looking for stuff to do.
Yes.
So we're trying to create value. It's not all about selling. It's about connecting and bringing value to your potential customers.
Hmm. Okay. Now let's talk about the use of AI because you mentioned that earlier.
Mhm.
In writing these email sequences and these automations, can we use things like Chat GPT?
Yeah, 100%. And if you're not using it right now, you're going to get left behind
Yeah.
because it's a game changer. So there is like AI built into it. AI is like your triggers too.
Yes.
So we've been using AI for a while. We just might not realize it.
Yeah.
But when somebody is added to an email list and you say trigger this, like now send this email, that's AI.
Yeah.
So that's a portion of AI, and that's the automation that's kind of built in that just kind of is like, go
Just
one
does it.
way or one. Yeah. And the other thing I actually was just working on an Instagram post on this just barely is what Chat GPT prompts did I use this week?
Yeah.
And one of them that I use is with my email marketing, where I say, hey, Chat GPT, write a 200 word email with this blog post that I just written, and I'll copy and paste it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say add humor, add a call to action, whatever it may be. Now, I say that we have to be careful with AI and ChatGPT and all those things, because people are kind of getting onto it, and it can be robotic. And we always say if it has that long dash in it, we're like, oh, they totally use
I'm
ChatGPT.
so mad. I'm so mad about that long dash because I've been using that long dash most of my life.
That is what my copywriter. Well,
so
that's
mad.
for a long time I was using a copywriter, and she would
Yes.
just proofread my stuff, and she used a long dash all the time.
Yes.
So now I'm just like, great. Now that long dash is
Looks
like,
like you've been using ChatGPT for years.
yes, yes, yes. So I always say it's a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Don't, like it's not a replacement for you. It is a helper. It is a starting point, but
Yes.
yes, use it. But I think it's just a great tool to use to just get the ball rolling. But definitely like
Read it.
yes, just do it. Well, and in ChatGPT, what I love about ChatGPT is you can go in and you can customize your profile.
Yes.
You can put your website in there. So I'll put, like, I'll write something like I'll do a blog post, like give me 1,000-word blog post on X, Y, and Z. I take that. I love it. ChatGPT knows my offers. And at the end, I'll put call to action like, hey, join my business membership where we go into more detail, X, Y, and Z. So yes, use it, repurpose it, but it is not a replacement. It is not your personality. It is not your knowledge, your experience in life. It's a tool. So
yeah, it's a tool that speeds things up, but you still have to read it. You still have to edit it. You still have to be present
yeah,
in
for sure.
in the things.
Yeah.
Okay, wrapping up, what other AI tools do you use?
What other AI? I mean, ChatGPT is probably like one of like my favorite ones that I use. Oh, another one that I use is this is kind of a genius one, and my virtual assistant like kind of taught this to me, but we have where it will transcribe.
Oh,
So
yes.
I use Dropbox. So I upload my podcast, that I recorded. We upload it to Dropbox, and Dropbox transcribes it. Then we take that transcript and I'll put it in ChatGPT and
Yes.
say, optimize this for a blog post.
Mm-hmm.
So, the other one that I really love. So I in my nonprofit, it's called the Compassion Club, and I create all printables, and so I've been lately like, oh, I need to just put those on Etsy and sell them. Or so as I'm creating thumbnails for some of these, like I did this one, it was super cute. It said, sip, sip, hooray. It's Teacher Appreciation Day or something. It's something like that. And I was looking for a stock image of something with a straw, and I couldn't find one. So I went into Canva, and I think it's called Media Magic or something.
Yes.
The app. And I write, create an image that has like straws in it, 3 straws in it, pink with these colors, and it will create an image for me.
Yes.
So that is another one that I use. I mean, ChatGPT, I would say, is like the main one that I use.
Yeah.
But there are really a ton of different programs out there that you can use to create, whatever. It's a little scary sometimes. So
yes, it's wild to me how it just creates things out of thin air. And you're right. I think that we're getting wiser on the AI, and the videos you see, you're like, oh my gosh, that's totally AI. That was totally an AI video, or whatever. But it's these are all tools that are going to take things off of our plates. And like you said earlier, time is money. And so we've got to automate some things so that we don't spend our entire waking hours working.
Oh yeah, for sure. So,
well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I am really excited to have you here. Can you tell everyone how to get in contact with you? And if they're interested in working with you, where to go?
Yes. So I am mainly on Instagram. That's my main place if you want to just kind of see day to day and behind the scenes. And that is Brittni.Schroeder. And then my website is brittnischroeder.com, and you can check it out there. If you want to work with me and you are like self-paced, I have my business membership. It's called the Meeting Place, where we go through so many different tools in your business, like the scheduling app, the database, the email marketing, all those things. I break them down in little bite-sized pieces. And that is, you can go to brittnischroeder.com/membership, or it's on my website too. You can find it. And you can go month to month, or you can pay for the whole year. But there's tons of value in there. So much templates, like tutorials. We do live coaching calls twice a month. So it's really like a really great deal, and tons of resources. So
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to have you. And like I said earlier, I've been a follower of yours for years. So
I love that. Well, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you again for joining me for another episode of the podcast. And thank you to Brittni Schroeder for joining me today. If this episode was helpful to you, would you please share it with a business friend? It would mean the absolute world to me. And it also helps the podcast player apps that you use know to share it with more people. And I would be so grateful if you would share it. Okay, that's a wrap on episode 85. I hope you have a great week. I'm praying for you and I'm praying for your business, and I'll talk to you next time.